This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
A very good evening to you and welcome. It's Tuesday, 4th June 2024. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this evening, Rivers State government, others react after gas truck explosion, claim lives in Port Harcourt. Civil servants in Rivers State to resume duty following suspension of strike by organized labor. Senator Ningi resumes duties after a 3-month suspension. National Orientation Agency to issue standard version of national anthem. On the foreign scene, court summons wife of Spanish Prime Minister over corruption allegation. I am Constance Mega with the news. Police have confirmed that 3 people died in this morning's fire on the Obirikwere flyover in Port Harcourt, where a heavy-duty truck carrying about 8 CNG cylinders fell on another vehicle. Public Relations Officer of the command, Grace Iringekoko, confirmed this in an interview with correspondent Emeka Otuka. SP Iringekoko urges residents and motorists to use alternate routes and avoid the area due to the presence of CNG cylinders with contents still inside. But she also said that police operatives are on site managing traffic. But the sector commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Rivers State, Christopher Goje, told correspondent Onyeka Chinwosu that 2 people died while 3 others were unhurt.
The total number of people involved in the crash is 5. Out of these 5, 2 died and then 3 rescue was starting. But the information we have now is the first information report. After now, we have to do further investigation. But what we are trying to do now is to even do rescue, have to carry them to hospital for in case there is any internal injury and so on and so forth. So those are the things we have to take care of now. Then later on, we can go into further investigation as to know how much damage has been involved and other issues that will come up because of the investigation.
Mr. Goje blamed the accident on overspeeding.
Eyewitnesses actually pointed out that the man was actually speeding, and that was why at the end of the day, at that bridge, on turning, the other vehicle stopped to pick a passenger. Then he just a kind of flew somersault and then came and landed on that vehicle that was stationary. And what we are doing to ensure that the issue of speeding is curtailed. That is why we insist that all truck and commercial vehicles have speed limiting device in their vehicle. In fact, we're enforcing it, even not because of this strike. We do go out in collaboration with other sister agencies.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Rivers State chapter of Nigerian Environmental Society, NES, Daminagbo Amos, has urged the state government to set up an emergency response team to reduce the recurrence of fire explosions in the state. He spoke to our correspondent.
The HSC of every company should be looked into very seriously, especially companies that are into haulage business that move heavy duty trucks from one point to the other. Because what has happened, it's not a natural disaster, but it's a man-made disaster. And again, from the aspect of the government, there is time for us to have an emergency response team. The government needs to set up an emergency response team.
And the Public Relations Officer of NES Rivers State Chapter, Daniel George, and the Student Wing Coordinator, Samuel Paul, also spoke on other safety measures. In the meantime, the Rivers State government has vowed to take all necessary steps to prevent similar explosions from happening again in the state. The Commissioner for Information and Communications, Joe Johnson, spoke to correspondent Onyeka Chinwosu, where he expressed sadness at the loss of lives in the accident.
It's quite sad that it's happening. It is an accident But since after the LMA incident, we have tried to deepen our arrangements to be able to have something to mitigate all these happenings. We were not happy about it, and I can assure you that the government will do all that is within its powers to ensure that we do not have a repeat of it. Quite sad, but we thank God that the casualty, though there is, that it was not as grievous as the previous.
Well, as you may know, this morning, residents around the Obirikwere axis heard about 4 explosions as some of the gas cylinders went off. An eyewitness told our correspondent that the burning truck fell on a vehicle.
The tanker was coming from Rumosi, so he missed road. He was supposed to follow this way, but he followed this way. So he turned his sign. So many times he not enter then jam 2 taxi, one escape, but the other one didn't escape. 99 tumble. So I was maybe he clamped one of this pavement that made me tumble that fall. So playing it catch fire.
He said a driver escaped the death. Beg your pardon, a driver escaped death.
And it's like, as I see under the trailer now, you can see it now. But one of them escaped. The driver escaped too. The other is under the trailer. He brought down, well, we're not confirmed yet. Until the fire service they are done with their work, they will confirm if anyone is inside.
However, the driver who was able to escape, identified as Prince Sunday, also spoke to our correspondent.
As he hits me, the pressure now I can't turn commode. But this one already my phone no turn commode. I see they go straight. And with the thing cover and completely. Inside that motor, I'm not sure if anybody come out. But I just see somebody run, they follow me for back. I know that he come out or he just stand around. So but the man come out on the thank God, he's not driving to. I know that he inside motor or he just stand around. And I don't know if somebody come out. So because I was busy with my own driving out so that to not catch up with me. Yes, it was on speed. The tire has already jacked up self. So as I noticed it, that's why I moved. But what I know is that the motor just stumbled. The front starts catching fire. It's my own car with one other guy. So that's the 2 people I carried.
However, the driver of the burning gas truck also escaped the incident but declined to speak to our correspondent. Well, the Federal Fire Service later put out the fire, and the route leading to NTA Road has been cordoned off. It was gathered that the items in the container of the burning truck were looted during the incident. Well, some residents who live close to the Obirikwere flyover said the shock from the explosions also affected their buildings. They spoke with correspondent Ifechukwu Monyele about their losses.
This morning, I was in the house, I was cooking. What I heard was boom. So when I heard it, I ran out. I was at the other place. The next thing I heard was boom. The thing now bounced in the middle of the yard and bounced to this way. So when I came to check, they had scattered all the ceiling in the house. But it was up to 1 hour, 30 minutes before fire service came. And by then, it has exploded more.
The tanker and lorry drivers, if they are respecting our laws, some of these things will not happen because they are expected to ply the road from 10 p.m. The effect of the explosion also affected the houses, like as you can see. There is the vibration from that explosion. That's what led to this. So it's very unfortunate.
Our correspondent who visited the residence said parts of their apartment ceiling fell and the bumper from the truck also cut through a mango tree in one of the compounds. Well, this is the second fire explosion this week on the Rumosi-Obirikwere axis. Recall that on Sunday, a fire explosion at an electronics shop destroyed items and buildings as well. In other news, civil servants in Rivers State have been advised to resume duty from tomorrow following the suspension of the nationwide strike by the organized labor. Chairman of the Nigeria Civil Service Union in Rivers State, Chuks Osuma, said this at the state's Secretariat complex.
Immediately, we are asking our members across Rivers State to resume work with immediate effect from tomorrow morning as work resumes tomorrow as we watch our National Executive Council, Nigeria Labour Congress and TUC negotiate with the government, and we are believing that there is going to be a favorable response from the federal government. So we are calling on them to resume work immediately.
Well, Mr. Osuma said civil servants in the state will comply with any further directives after the 5 days suspension elapses. Well, correspondent Soebi Oruwari reports that some residents applauded the decision of Labour to suspend the strike. Well, organized labor yesterday began an indefinite strike over the delay in agreeing to a minimum wage for workers and the government's refusal to reduce electricity tariff hike. Well, the strike crippled business activities across the country. Away from that, God Grace Gift, popularly known as General Efizi, has denied allegations of leading a criminal gang that lures cab drivers into ambushes, steal their vehicles and kill them for ritual purposes. We're speaking exclusively to our correspondents. General Efizi also denied knowledge of one Anthony Chima, who linked him to the crimes. He said he's not a kidnapper, but works as a supervisor in a surveillance contract for one of the oil companies operating in the area, where he further explained that he has been away from the community for the past 2 years, recovering from an injury sustained during a raid at an illegal oil refining site. Well, God's Grace also described his links to the crime as hatred, noting that he is a youth leader in his church. Still to come, National Orientation Agency to issue standard version of National Anthem. Stay tuned.
When there is news, we report it.
Welcome back, and now to the rest of the news. The Association of Omuma Community Development Committees, on behalf of their monarch, His Royal Majesty Eze Onyekachi Amonwu Eze Omuma, is congratulating the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara for his successful 1 year in office. In a statement signed by the chairman of the body, Nkem Anonam, and the secretary, Stanley Iranya, the body thanked the governor for identifying the needs of the people and adopting a speedy approach to addressing them. Well, the group said the governor's focus on aggressive infrastructural development, workers' welfare, as well as agricultural and industrial development are steps in the right direction. It also commended the governor for the just concluded Investment and Economic Summit, describing it as a good strategy to attract investors into the state and a visionary path to the rapid development of Rivers State. Well, the Omuma Community Development Committees Forum also appealed to Governor Fubara to remember Omuma local government area in the scheme of things and reiterated their resolve to stand by him at all times. Similarly, the Omuma Youth Leaders Forum, on behalf of His Royal Majesty Eze Onyekachi Amonwu Eze Omuma, is felicitating with the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara on his first anniversary in office. In a statement, the chairman of the forum, Wankwo Okudiri, and the secretary, Nweketa Joseph, described Governor Fubara as a visionary, people-oriented, and God-sent, following his developmental strides in the areas of infrastructure, workers' welfare, and robust economic policies. The youths also commended the governor for the construction of the Youth Resource Center and pledged their readiness to take advantage of the program. The forum also charged all youths of Omuma local government area to remain law-abiding, peaceful, and enterprising, emphasizing that what Governor Fubara needs now is a peaceful atmosphere that would accelerate the development of Rivers State. Moving on, the Community Development Committee chairman of Rumagolo Community, Graham Nwogu, has called on companies to stop dealing with Victor Okechukwu Amadi for any business transaction that concerns the community because he is not the CDC chairman in the community. In a statement, Mr. Nwogu, who maintained that the court declared him the winner of the election conducted in Rumagolo community as the CDC chairman, referred to the court case on the matter that he won against Mr. Amadi in 2023, where the court upheld his election and also restrained Mr. Amadi from parading as the chairman of the CDC in Rumagolo community. The statement said that Mr. Amadi later sued him in another court in Isiokpo Judicial Division, same 2023, but the court on May 6, 2024, ruled that Mr. Amadi's suit was an abuse of court process. The statement also called on the police and the people of Rumagolo community to take note. In other news, the National Orientation Agency, NOA, has assured citizens that a standard version of the national anthem would be issued by the agency after consultation with stakeholders. The Director General of the agency, Lanre Isa Onilu, said this in a statement issued by the agency's Deputy Director of Press, Paul Odenyi, today.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
A Spanish court has summoned the wife of Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez as part of a corruption investigation. The government has denounced a political hit job. Begona Gomez is to appear in court on 5th July to answer questions about allegations that she used her position to influence business deals. Well, that's a wrap on the news this evening, but before we go, let's take a look at the highlights. You heard that the Rivers State government and other stakeholders have reacted after a gas truck explosion claimed lives in Port Harcourt. Civil servants in Rivers State are to resume duty tomorrow following the suspension of the indefinite strike by the organized labor. The National Orientation Agency is to issue a standard version of the national anthem. And on the foreign scene, a court has summoned the wife of Spanish Prime Minister over corruption allegation. The news was edited by Onyekachi Nwosu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I am Constance Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good evening.